He was just 24 years old when he vanished over the cold waters of the North Sea. Lieutenant Robert Harrison, a bomber pilot with the Royal Air Force, took off on what should have been a routine mission in early 1943. Nobody could have predicted it would become one of the most mysterious disappearances of World War II. The B-24 Liberator was packed with a 7-man crew, each man knowing their specific role. Harrison piloted the massive bomber, confident and steady. His co-pilot, James Miller, checked the instrument panels. Behind them, the bombardier, radio operator, and gunners prepared for another dangerous run over enemy territory. Their mission was straightforward: reconnaissance and potential bombing of German naval installations along the Dutch coast. These missions were dangerous but critical to the Allied war effort. Every flight meant gathering intelligence that could turn the tide of the war. That morning, weather reports suggested challenging conditions. Low cloud cover and potential icing were risks every bomber crew understood. But experienced crews like Harrison's had navigated worse. They took off from their base in eastern England, the massive 4-engine bomber climbing into the grey winter sky. Ground control tracked their initial progress. Radio communications were normal. The bomber reported its position several times during the first 2 hours of the mission. Then suddenly, everything went silent. Hours passed. No additional radio contact. No emergency signals. The bomber and its entire crew simply disappeared. Search and rescue teams were immediately dispatched. Aircraft scanned the North Sea for days. Naval vessels combed the waters, but they found nothing. No wreckage, no oil slicks, no signs of a crash. It was as if the B-24 and its 7-man crew had been erased from existence. Military records show intense investigation followed. Intelligence officers interviewed ground crew, reviewed flight logs, and studied weather reports. They reconstructed every known detail of the mission, but each avenue of investigation led to the same frustrating dead end. Harrison's wife, Margaret, was notified of his missing status. She refused to believe he was gone. For months she wrote letters to military officers, begging for more information. But the answers never came. Theories emerged over the years. Some suggested mechanical failure. Others proposed that the bomber was shot down by German fighters and sank quickly. A few more speculative accounts hinted at navigation errors that might have sent them far off course, but the truth remained elusive. The bomber crew became a footnote in wartime history. 7 men who simply vanished during a routine mission. Decades later, veterans who knew Harrison would still speak about the mysterious disappearance. "He was the best pilot in our squadron," one would say. "If something went wrong, he'd find a way to save his crew." The families never received closure. No memorial could be built. No bodies were ever recovered. Just 7 names on a wall, remembering men who flew into the sky and never returned. Subscribe for more untold stories. In 1987, a peculiar discovery reignited interest in the lost bomber's fate. A retired Dutch fisherman named Johannes Kramer claimed to have found a strange metallic fragment during a dredging operation near the Frisian Islands. The piece was unlike standard aircraft debris. Its composition seemed unusual, with metallic alloys that didn't match known World War II manufacturing techniques. Military historians initially dismissed Kramer's account as another wild speculation. The material contained trace elements that suggested advanced engineering far beyond 1940s technology. Margaret Harrison's grandson Michael Roberts learned about the fragment during a chance conversation with a military historian. By then, Margaret had long passed away, her life defined by decades of unanswered questions about her husband's mysterious disappearance. Michael became obsessed with finding the truth, dedicating significant personal resources to investigating the fragment's origins. Classified military archives slowly revealed additional curious details. Buried deep in communication logs from that winter of 1943 were cryptic notations that had been overlooked for decades. Radar operators had reported unusual electromagnetic disturbances in the precise coordinates where Harrison's bomber vanished. These disturbances didn't match any known atmospheric phenomena or technological interference of the era. Forensic meteorological reconstructions showed something equally strange. Weather patterns on the day of the disappearance were not just challenging mean, they were scientifically anomalous. Pressure gradients and wind currents displayed mathematical irregularities that modern climate scientists found inexplicable. It was as if something had momentarily disrupted the natural atmospheric conditions. Interviews with surviving veterans from Harrison's squadron revealed additional unsettling details. Several crew members had spoken privately about strange sensations during reconnaissance missions in that region. Unexplained equipment malfunctions, momentary disorientation, and radio frequencies that seemed to fluctuate without explanation. One particularly intriguing account came from navigator Thomas Green, who had trained with Harrison. In a rarely shared personal journal, Green described an unexplained temporal shimmer during a mission weeks before the disappearance, a moment where instrumentation seemed to briefly malfunction and the sky appeared to momentarily distort. Heavily redacted documents hinted at experimental technologies being tested in the North Sea region. The fragment underwent extensive testing at multiple international research facilities. Each analysis produced more questions than answers. Its molecular composition seemed to shift subtly under different scanning technologies, displaying properties that challenged fundamental understanding of material science. Veterans associations and military historians began taking renewed interest in the case. Satellite imagery and advanced geological scanning of the presumed crash region revealed additional mysteries. Geological anomalies emerged around the coordinates of Harrison's last known position. Ground-penetrating radar revealed underground structural inconsistencies that defied typical geological formations. Standard electron microscopy revealed microscopic structures that seemed to oscillate between crystalline and non-crystalline states, a phenomenon that challenged existing physics models. Military intelligence agencies quietly began monitoring Michael Roberts' investigation. Unnamed sources within government research departments started showing keen interest in the fragment's potential technological implications. Classified communication intercepts revealed hushed discussions about potential reverse engineering opportunities. Forensic metallurgists noted the fragment contained trace elements that seemed temporally inconsistent. Isotopic dating techniques produced conflicting results, with some analyses suggesting the material was simultaneously decades old and strangely contemporary. International research consortiums began discreetly collaborating. Archival research found references to similar unexplained phenomena during World War II. Isolated incidents across different theaters of war suggested potential patterns of technological anomalies. Radar operators in the Pacific, communications specialists in European theaters, and reconnaissance units in various combat zones had reported fragmentary experiences that seemed to echo Harrison's mysterious disappearance. These markings appeared to be neither random nor conventionally manufactured. Mathematical algorithms designed to detect potential encoded information suggested the inscriptions might represent a complex informational matrix, potentially a message or technological schematic, far beyond mid-20th century manufacturing capabilities. Emerging research indicated the fragment generated subtle electromagnetic fields under specific laboratory conditions. These fields displayed characteristics that suggested potential energy generation mechanisms beyond current technological understanding. Some researchers hypothesized the material might represent an advanced form of energy transmission or storage technology. Psychological profiles of veterans who had encountered similar unexplained phenomena during wartime revealed intriguing correlations. Military medical records from the era contained numerous redacted sections potentially related to these experiences. As investigations continued, the fragment became more than a historical curiosity. It represented a potential technological Rosetta Stone, a key that might unlock understanding of scientific principles far beyond contemporary comprehension. The mystery surrounding Harrison's disappearance transformed from a historical footnote into a complex multidisciplinary research challenge. Roberts' team spent months analyzing the fragment, each breakthrough raising more questions than answers. International scientific conferences debated the artifact's origin, with leading physicists presenting increasingly radical theories. The U.S. Department of Defense discreetly established a specialized research unit to study the artifact. Classified reports indicated the fragment exhibited properties that suggested potential technological applications in energy transmission, materials science and communication technologies. Interviews with Harrison's surviving family members revealed additional context. His sister Margaret, now 87, recalled her brother mentioning strange encounters during reconnaissance missions that he was never permitted to discuss in detail. Military records from that period contained numerous redacted sections, hinting at classified operations. Advanced spectroscopic analysis revealed the fragment contained isotopic signatures that did not match any known terrestrial or meteorological source. Trace elemental compositions suggested a manufacturing process far beyond mid-20th century technological capabilities. Robert's final report, submitted to an international scientific consortium, concluded that the artifact represented a significant technological anomaly. The research suggested the fragment was not merely a historical curiosity, but potentially evidence of technological knowledge far beyond contemporary understanding. In a surprising turn of events, military archivists located Harrison's original mission logs in a previously classified storage facility. Partially degraded documents suggested he had been involved in a highly secretive reconnaissance mission involving experimental technological research. Declassified communication transcripts hinted at an unexpected encounter that remained officially unexplained. The fragment itself underwent extensive preservation and research protocols. International scientific institutions collaborated to ensure comprehensive study, while maintaining strict confidentiality about its most unusual characteristics. Roberts ultimately concluded that Harrison's disappearance represented more than a simple military mystery. Final forensic analysis confirmed the fragment's age at approximately 73 years old, dating precisely to Harrison's last known mission. Its composition remained partially unexplained, with several molecular characteristics defying standard scientific classification. The research team's ultimate recommendation was continued, careful investigation, documentation to follow. Those words became the most tantalizing piece of evidence in a mystery that remained really unsolved. The fragment was ultimately transferred to a secure research facility, where ongoing studies continued under the highest levels of scientific and governmental scrutiny. What remained clear was that Michael Harrison's mysterious disappearance was far more complex than a simple military incident. Subscribe if this story interested you, and you want to hear more like it. Elena Rodriguez, the lead researcher who inherited Robert's project, made a breakthrough that would change everything. These nanoscale information patterns suggested deliberate, intelligent design, not random geological formation or accidental manufacturing. The encoded data, when decrypted through a complex algorithmic process, revealed geographic coordinates near the original site of Harrison's last mission. Government satellite imaging confirmed an underground anomaly precisely matching those coordinates. A joint military scientific expedition was quietly mounted. Ground-penetrating radar revealed a sealed underground chamber approximately 37 meters beneath the remote desert location, where Harrison's reconnaissance team had last been tracked. Among the recovered items was a detailed logbook, partially preserved, that appeared to be Michael Harrison's original field documentation. Forensic linguists confirmed the document's authenticity. Harrison had been part of a classified research initiative, exploring experimental communication and energy transmission technologies far beyond publicly known scientific capabilities. The recovered artifacts were immediately classified. Only a select group of researchers, operating under the strictest confidentiality protocols, would be granted limited access. Rodriguez's final report concluded that the discovery represented a significant turning point in understanding mid-20th century technological research. The implications suggested that certain technological advancements had been deliberately concealed from public knowledge. Michael Harrison was posthumously awarded a classified commendation for his contributions to advanced technological research. His remaining family members were briefed on the minimal details permitted for disclosure. The underground chamber and its contents remained under continuous high-security monitoring. No further public statements were issued regarding the discovery. What remained certain was that Michael Harrison's mysterious disappearance was now understood as a critical moment in a complex hidden technological narrative. Subscribe if this story interested you, and you want to hear more like it. Years later, a single encrypted communication would surface from deep within military archives, suggesting that Harrison's work had not been an isolated incident, but part of a broader, more complex technological exploration. Rodriguez, now retired, maintained strict silence about her findings. Her research papers were carefully redacted, with entire sections permanently classified. Independent researchers would occasionally attempt to reconstruct the narrative, but official channels remained hermetically sealed. Government spokespersons consistently denied any knowledge of the underground chamber or its contents. The underground chamber itself became a symbol of hidden technological frontiers. Harrison's original team members were tracked discreetly, most having retired or disappeared into obscure academic and research positions. Their collective silence spoke looms about the magnitude of their shared experience. Final declassified documents would confirm one undeniable fact: Michael Harrison's mission represented a pivotal moment in understanding technological boundaries that remained, decades later, only partially comprehended. The story would become a footnote in classified military research archives. Subscribe if this story interested you and you want to hear more like it.